know, Meg, you're the renovation queen. Tell us about your place. What are you doing?
Oh my God, it's been our biggest project ever. So my husband and I have been together for 23 years and we've been renovating houses since we were 20 years old. And I have never had any desire to buy a brand new home. Every house we've ever bought, we've always looked at all the ugly ducklings and we've basically ripped them apart and made them into beautiful ducklings, swans. So this one is our biggest project yet. It's a steel framed house. It's an owner builder. It's had everything possible wrong with it. And we've been working on this property for the last 5 years. We went down the path of this property in particular because I had a child and she was 12 months old. My husband decided he wanted to move house. I'd just finished renovating our house and it looked beautiful. I was ready to just kick back and enjoy it. And he started looking around and I wasn't interested. I'm a property stylist. I see houses every single day of the week. And the areas we were looking at, I wasn't really happy with them. I get bitten by mosquitoes, midges love me. And so those areas really weren't on my radar, although I would have loved to live in those areas if that wasn't the case. But our house really, when I first went to look at it, I knew as soon as I walked in that this was the house that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives in. And so, yeah, this project has been going on for the last 5 to 6 years.
So you said from your very first home, have you renovated always? So when was your first one and what made you think about renovating? Like, because usually when you're young, you don't.
I know.
You think, I'm so happy to have a home. I don't need to renovate. It's just I'm in there. What made you, what started that renovation?
When my husband and I met each other when I was 20, we rented for a short time together because obviously that's what you do. Well, that's what we did. See how it goes. And then we bought our first place together. So the first place that we bought together, actually, the story behind that one was that, so the house was actually, it had been taken by the banks. And so it was a repossession, and bearing in mind, I've never gone through this process ever before, and I'm in the UK, and I'm 20. I just went looking for all the information I needed. I want to buy this house. Nobody else is going to buy it. What can I buy it for? How do I do it? So I just went every way I could to go and make sure that I could secure this property. So it was going to auction. I contacted the local council. I went to every possible channel I could go to try and buy the property before auction. Anyway, we were successful buying it. So we bought our first property in England for £62,000, £62,000, and moved in, renovated it. We moved in, we renovated it. We didn't get any money given to us. I think my husband's parents gave us a little bit of cash for the deposit, but most of it we'd saved ourselves. And we bought our first property, and then it would have been maybe 2 years later, if that, that we'd renovated it and sold it. And actually the agent came round and said, oh, this house is probably looking around about £90,000. And I said, well, actually, I'd like to put it on for 99. So we put it on for 99,000 and we sold it. But one of the funny stories out of that was, because we renovated the house, so the colour scheme downstairs in the lounge room, which was pink and brown, one of the bedrooms was decorated in claret and blue, which is the Aston Villa colours. And I was an Aston Villa fan, but that's not why we did it. But we painted all of our timber windows. So my husband and I took all of the timber windows out of our house in a weekend. We painted them, and then we put them back in, and we realised we painted them the wrong colour.
Oh, no.
We were like, these windows were like a really beautiful wood grain, and when we'd gone to the equivalent Bunnings, which was Homebase over there, we were like choosing colours. It was such a hard process. You've got this finish and that colour and that colour. We were like, well, we think this is the right colour for the windows without bringing one of them into the shop. We go and paint them all, and we put them back in, and they are orange.
Oh no. So what did you do?
So we had to take them back out and start again and painted them again.
So sample pots are a good idea.
They were a very good idea. I don't know why we didn't think of that before.
Experience.
So yeah, experience. So we were 20, we did all of that and we sold our house successfully. So, but the point was that we were a bit cheeky as well. You know, the agent had said it was worth this. We thought we'll try a little bit more.
Yes.
And we sold it for that. So on we went to our next project and our next project and our next projects.
And that would obviously depend on the market at the time of how you could really do that, though, wouldn't it? Depend on the market, being a little bit more
Yeah, I think
aggressive with your pricing. Yep.
Yeah, I think we've probably always been successful with a rising market.
Yeah.
But in a rising market, of course, and Nicole, you know this, that you've got lots more competition.
You do.
So, you know, you might have, say, 20 houses on the market that are similar to yours. And so you've got to make your house stand out. And every time we've ever decorated a house, I feel like I've staged it each time as well. So, you know, I'm not one of those people that's bought furniture and then moved it into the next house. I've just got rid of it and then bought new furniture and then I've done it again and I've done it again. You know, because in the UK, every house is different, like in Australia. So you can't always use the same furniture in every house. So, you know, yeah, it was kind of there from a young age.
Well, we're just going from always buying land and building ourselves. What would you look out for? So we're about to buy an established house, and I think with renovating, because we always like that project to do something and make it our own. So we're not going to look for, because I just don't think we'll find our area anyway. What should we be looking for?
So aside from location, probably the other thing I would say for us was I always look at the end game. So whenever I've looked at a property and I go in and see it as it is, I always look at what's going to make it the most appealing for selling. So, and I say this to lots of my clients. I say, hey, I've got pink wallpaper in my bedroom. If ever I sell my house, I'm going to have to change my pink wallpaper because it's not going to suit everybody. So using that, I would say that in every house that we've ever looked at, I've always looked at it with a visual to selling it. So that means that I've looked at, you know, in the last house we had, I converted a semi-hairdressing salon into an ensuite and a guest bedroom, you know, making it more saleable every time. Like it's really about that end game, but also making it so that it's your home.
So what have you done to your place, Meg?
Where do we start?
Can I also say you've got a very understanding husband to have pink wallpaper in your bedroom?
Yes.
Firstly.
I think I'm a pretty understanding wife when things take as long as 6 years to renovate.
Yes.
When date nights are classed as laying turf in the back garden, for goodness
we've all
sake.
been there.
Painting doors.
That's right.
But
You know,
also,
I
Meg,
came
did
in
you
with
live
gloss
in the
on my
house?
hands.
Did you live in the house while you did all this as well? Because I think about to do it, 2 kids, 2 dogs, chicken.
Everything.
How do you live through a renovation? Like, I don't want to live in one bedroom and just have your hot pot going in one room. Or have you done that the whole time?
Yes.
Just couldn't think of
Only
it.
the last time, this time has been worse because I had a 12-month-old and we had windows in the house that were completely unsafe. So we went to look at this property and we knew that there was lots of things wrong with it. We had a builder go in and look at it for us and they did a detailed inspection on it. So we knew what we were up against. But everything was priority. So we had balconies that were built in pine and they were rotten and then pine was laid over the top of them. So you couldn't really walk on the balconies because it's a 3-story house. So, you know, you can make your own conclusion. We had balconies that, if you'd seen the balconies now, wouldn't even be anywhere near building regulations because they were in a crisscross format. So my 12-month-old could have just crawled through and just fallen over the edge. And we had windows in the property that had no screens on them. You just open the window and it's a sheer drop.
Did all of those things, did you do building and pest? Did they all show up in your building and pest and you knew what you were getting into? Or did you find all these things after the fact, after you actually purchased the house?
So we knew some of these things needed doing, i.e. the decking was rotten, and we didn't know, I don't think, about the windows opening and it being a sheer drop because we didn't open the windows. But we knew about lots of the the works that needed doing. So the plumbing needed redoing around the house because all the water was running into the house, and it's a steel framed house, so it's harder to work on. You can't knock down internal walls, and the staircase wasn't up to building regulations, and so many things. And we were like, when we bought it, we were happy, but I think months into it, we were going, "Oh my God, what have we done?"
And that's an
Yeah,
absolute common thing we hear all the time is when they start renovating, you start on one project, but you uncover other things that need fixing, like when you renovate your bathroom or.
So there's one particular problem that we didn't foresee, although my husband and I kind of knew it was a problem. So the house had got an existing, it would have been about a 14 by 5 metre pool in the back garden. And we thought we might be able to resurface it, re-pebblecrete it, whatever. We thought we might not be able to do it, so we kind of didn't budget for building a new pool, but we did think that it probably needed a new one because of where it was situated in completely the wrong place. Anyway, the pool was actually cracked in half. The real estate agent had told us that we would be able to resurface it. Obviously, because of my industry, I ignored that anyway, but it was advice that he'd given to me, which was completely incorrect. And subsequently, we had to take the pool out with all the trees and start again.
Can I just ask how? So obviously we have lots of clients who come through and they want to renovate their homes. So we have to go through how they can make that work, so how they actually pay for it. So we access the equity, that can be through their own lender, refinancing. How did you go into it to know you've got to spend this much on it, and how are you going to pay for that? Because you obviously bought this new house. A lot of people put everything they have straight into it to buy it. So how did you keep those funds separate, saying, well, you've got to spend $100,000 on this house, I'm going to keep that other time, I'm going to wait a while, take equity out of your home. Like we do that different structuring ways for finance, but how did you actually do that?
So we basically just didn't live for probably the first 4 years of owning this house. Like everything that we had. And Marie, you'll know this because, oftentimes when we couldn't afford to go out for the nice meal, or we couldn't buy that thing, or whatever it might be. So, it's a money pit.
And so you did it as gradually as you went along. You put your funds in it, so you didn't have a set budget going into it.
And my husband, bless him, he did most of the work. Like both of us have renovated houses, so it's not just me looking pretty and going, "Oh, you need to do that, you need to do that, you need to do that." It's me getting in there with the paintbrush and doing the sanding and staying up till midnight and working super hard to try and get it done.
Like the block.
It was like the block. So like the block, which is why I'd never do the block.
You might need a voice layer.
Oh my God, so tiring. I watch that program and it tires me. But I just, we didn't do what lots of other people do. And we've had this conversation so many times, and probably we're inexperienced with knowing how to finance something like that. We could have bought a house for 850 grand in Clear Island Waters. We ended up buying a house for, 640, whatever it was, in Rabina, and we've spent X amount of money on it. We haven't overcapitalised yet, we don't think, but we could keep going. But we were happier where we were back then to buy the house for 640 and spend a few $100 grand on it over a period of time than we were to go to our lender and go, "Hey, we want to add an extra 300 grand to our mortgage. What do you reckon to that?" and get all the work done. And we didn't look at that as an option, and we never have.
So Meg, how did you cope with buying a place that needed so many renovations and not being able to afford to live the way you used to live?
I think for me, that was why I was so apprehensive about moving home. I knew the work that we just carried out in the previous property. I don't know if you remember when you came round one day, but in our older house, previous to this one, we'd renovated the whole place, and my ceilings in the house still got me. Like, I just could not live with them. And we thought we'd be able to paint them and make them good. Anyway, we decided in the end, before we sold, that we couldn't live with them. So we got them re-gyprocked. And that was just the biggest nightmare ever. I had planks through the whole of the house. I had a newborn baby. My cats were freaking out. Like, it was just chaos. So I knew what I might be letting myself in for because I could remember it. It was instilled in my brain, and I was just like, I just can't deal with the dust. But I think there were certain things that were frustrating me about where we lived, and I'd looked at other properties with hubby, and nothing really floated my boat. And then we went out to this house, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, I really like it here. And I can walk into a property and visualize how it's going to look. So I could see it, and I was just like, okay. And then obviously the work that began, and how did I live through it? Well, I'm still living through it now, but I can see the other side of it now.
Like, you had no kitchen at one time.
I had no kitchen. I had a 12-month-old baby, and I was thinking about putting the laundry in my kitchen. I was going a bit crazy.
I remember that.
I've got staircases in my house. I've had staircases cut out of the house. So the middle floor staircase wasn't there.
I remember.
And there was like concrete drilled through the house. And
And Meg, how was that pressure in terms of relationship? Because that's quite intimate in terms of your home every day with the newborn baby, you know, your husband's work, everything that you're trying to juggle. How were you finding the whole process?
I think I feel now like it's a million miles away, but there's certain things that stick in my mind. So, you know, I remember we had some friends coming over to visit, and we'd got cement board down on our kitchen floor, and the cement board had been down for maybe it was down for a couple of years because we just couldn't find the right flooring for the kitchen. And it was covered in sick, in cat food, in baby food, in spilt drinks, in wine, whatever it might be. So cement board can actually look really unattractive when it's been down for a long time. And that was probably one of the things that I was just like, I can't cope with walking into the house and I've got this new kitchen, but I'm looking at the floor every single day. And from a relationship perspective, I think that we were doing it ourselves. And, you know, we've got full-time jobs, we're new parents, and it was a lot of stress, like a lot of stress, you know, and it wasn't always about not being able to afford trades to come in. My husband just wouldn't, he's just so finicky about everything. He would just check everything anyone else has done, and then he'd be like, well, I can do that just as good as them. So then I'd have to wait for him to do stuff, which would drive me crazy. But yeah, it was hard, really hard. But I don't think divorce was on the cards. I think we both went into it knowing it was going to be bad. Yeah, so it was really hard. And, you know, I can't advice on anything like that. I think you've just got to know exactly what you're going into. And it can't be a surprise because, you know, I know that when things were bad, you sometimes just can't see the wood for the trees. And I remember one time we went to the bank about something, I can't remember what it was, but the bank said to us, if you've got any gyprock missing off any of the walls, we won't lend you any money. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember, my husband actually was building a friend's house, and they had that same experience. This was prior to our renovation, and so the bank had to come in and check the property to make sure that it was, you know, each stage was completed properly before they'd lend the next amount of money. And we were next to renovate our house, and I thought, I don't want to be at that stage. I just don't want to be, you know, living like that until we've got that last piece of gyprock on the wall before we could borrow for the next stage. So I think budgeting is actually really quite important, and you probably would agree, Renee, with people buying and obviously going and seeing you to get some money for the renovation, just getting those quotes and knowing what things are going to cost so that you can sort of scope all of that out, so you're not waiting waiting for the bank or someone else to sort of let you have that extra money to finish those stages.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to structure your finance for it, but predominantly the most common is that you have to reach different stages to get the funds from the bank, and you have to have certain trades or tasks actually completed. So that is if you're going to get a construction loan, how it's going to happen. Yeah, but it can be stressful because if you haven't got a particular thing finished or you've run into other problems, it's going to cost you money. Renovations, it is quite stressful to do that, and that can happen.
Going back to what you said before about one of the stressful things that happened in the house, probably the most stressful thing that happened in the house, I think, from memory, that's just come back to me, is our windows. So we replaced all the windows in our house, and the building company that we used, which is a reputable company on the Gold Coast, couldn't provide us with somebody to install the windows. And we had a bad experience with the tradesperson that helped us, to the point where, you know, we had phone calls from him because he fitted something that was incorrect and it wasn't safe, and the window company had come out and said that that's not right. And, you know, so you can put money into the best product, which we did, and then ultimately the tradesperson that then you have to engage to put that product in, you know, isn't qualified or isn't right or doesn't do it properly, and then you use the regulations on the windows and just so many things. That was a really stressful time because of the amount of money we were spending, and also, you know, you've got no windows in certain parts of the house and you're in a 3-story house.
With a 12-month-old.
With a 12-month-old.
Hey Meg, I remember going to your house when you first bought it, and there was the shower room. Tell us about the shower room. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, so the shower room was literally on the middle floor of the house, bedrooms around it, and you had a bathroom. Then next door to it was this door. You opened the door, and there was literally a shower inside. So there was no window, no ventilation. It was
like a linen cupboard, wasn't it?
It was just
With a
like
door. That was a shower.
completely random. Like you just wouldn't have even, you know, like who's going to shower in there? I don't even think there was a light in there.
Really?
Like it was just, just completely
Did you
bizarre.
not use it?
I never used it. Yeah. Should we talk about what happened to you when you were pregnant and I went to your house and you were living with no roof? And tell us that story.
We can talk about that. So my husband and I bought a 2-bedroom beach shack renovator, and I was quite happy there. We kind of had done a few little things. It was just my husband and I, so that was great. And then we just found out we were pregnant with our first child. So I get home from work one day and it's pitch black, and I walk in and there's not really many lights on. I thought it was a bit strange, and then my husband says, he meets me at the front and says, "Don't freak out." And I said, "Oh, what? I can't see anything. It's black." And he says, "I'll take you through here, but just don't freak out. I've done a few things today." Anyway, so we walk into my bedroom, which is kind of got an external door, walk into the bedroom, put my stuff down, and then I walk from the bedroom into what used to be the kitchen living area, and he's completely gutted the whole kitchen living area. We had no windows, no gyprock, no floor. It was like a complete shell.
And he knows you're a divorce lawyer, and he knows what he can get away with. Obviously, he knows you very well.
He does know me very well, but I was so shocked. I just couldn't believe it. Anyway, so we had basically had our bedroom that was normal. We had no kitchen. We were living on our deck. I remember going and buying a wok from, I don't know, Kmart or something, and we were cooking on the wok, in the wok outside with the rice cookers. I think we lived on like stir fries for the longest time. It was ridiculous. The barbecue came out as well. It was just terrible. It was just terrible. And then we ripped the roof off the house and we tarped it all up, and we had an electrician who was moving the power. You remember that guy, Meg? And he took the power off the roof and put it on the garage or what have you, but you have to book in the electricity company to move the power, and he'd forgotten to do that, but he told us that he did. So 6 weeks later, we're still waiting for this. We've got tarps on the roof, the storms come, And I'm lying in bed with my husband one morning and I look up at the ceiling and there's this great big wet patch right above us. Mind you, I'm about 6 months pregnant by this point. And I say to my husband, I don't think it's safe for us to be sleeping in this bed under this. And so we end up moving to the lounge room and we slept on a mattress on the floor in the lounge room with no windows in the middle of winter.
No.
And I was about 7 or 8 months pregnant by that point. It was just shocking. But you just do it. You just get through. You know that, you know, you're going to get there. The work is kind of getting done around you and you just kind of get on with it, really.
So it's
I think that's one thing that nobody kind of plans is like how long these projects are going to take. So we talk about like financials, but like how long does it take? I mean, we never anticipated that what we're doing now was take us as long as we had. We probably never thought about it really though, because we knew we had so much to do. Like we've put a new pool in and we've landscaped the gardens and we've still got more to do. So, you know, it's not just about the money, it's also about how long these projects are going to take. So, you know, if you're trying to make your dream home, how long are you prepared to put into it? Yeah, like, you know.
Timeline is always a good thing. So for us, we were pretty lucky in hindsight in that we did have a baby coming. And so that was our time frame. It was like, baby's coming, want this house finished. And it did get finished apart from all the window furnishings and all the pretty stuff that we sort of did later. But yeah, time frame I think is really important.
So Meg, I'm just getting, there's a few takeaways here. Obviously, because we've always built brand new homes, so definitely put in the hard yards. However, renovation, living through it is probably a little bit of a different story that we need to be prepared for. Takeaways, obviously, your budgets, how long it's going to take, and just living through that you're not going to have the same quality of life that you have when you have your home and all your comforts there.
I think be prepared as well for the unexpected. Like as much as we can plan, there's so many things that don't go to plan. So, and that comes from a budget perspective and also then affecting, you know, timelines. So, you know, if you have got big plans in mind and you think they're going to be finished in X amount of time and it's going to cost you this amount of money, you need to make sure that you have got some leverage with that. Because nothing ever goes to plan.
Yes, that's very true.
Very true.
I haven't personally done a renovation, but we would like to. So we've also only ever built from scratch, but just the experiences I've had with a lot of clients, it's not for everybody. So I think that's also key. It's establishing, are you that type of person that can go through this? Or are you someone that just needs the keys in 30 days and you're into a newer home where you don't need to do anything? So that's quite important. It's not for everybody.
So you won't be sleeping on the floor with no windows in winter then, Nicole?
I don't think so.
Outside of that, Nicole, have you had clients that have come to you that have been mid-renovation and had to sell because they can't cope with it? Have you had anything like that before?
I had an interesting experience actually earlier this year. So in the area where I've been working for about 12 years, it was the first time I sold a home that hadn't been completed. So no floor coverings, no landscaping, no driveway. So it was a really difficult sell and a totally different experience in terms of taking a home to the market because there wasn't much prettiness about it. So we had to go through, this is a renovator's dream in a new area where homes are predominantly new.
Yeah, so just on that, from my point of view, being the stylist, I go into properties whereby, you know, the house has been renovated and they haven't quite finished it, whether it be to a certain standard or they just haven't quite finished it. So, you know, just an example, this week alone, with a lovely lady, and there was a couple of things that she needed to do to the property. So one of those was they'd converted the garage, and part of the floor in the garage hadn't been, nothing had been laid on it, so they'd got carpet, and then the study area we were going to use had still got bare concrete, and then round the bottom skirts of the garage it was all raw concrete. Well, we were going to stage that room, and I had to say to her, you know, you need to finish that off. They're only little jobs, but they make all the difference. But then coming from what I've gone through, I know that they're not little jobs, and I have to tell other people to do these jobs.
And from coming from a lending side as well, banks will only lend a certain amount about those type of properties. Some won't touch them if they're not habitable. If you haven't got a kitchen in there, a bank won't lend against that property, so you can't get finance to. So it's going to limit your market. If you're selling that property, it's going to limit the market you can get to. You're going to have cash buyers or limited funding you can get for it.
In fact, on that property that I was referring to, they didn't even bother doing a build and pest. They say what we see is what we get because it was very raw. You could see wires sticking out, a concrete floor. Just that's the way it was. And we had agreed, well, you know, it wasn't worth going down that path because everything was very exposed.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, and if my circumstances had been different and I'm thinking about it from, you know, maybe your perspective from one of your clients, like midway through the project at any stage in our property, you know, we could have like culled our relationship or whatever it might be. And now it's like, oh my God, how could you know, you wouldn't have had the money to finish it. You know, neither of you would have had any faith in wanting to finish it. So
you both
how
would
would
have been
you
worse off in that
yeah,
position,
I mean,
which is
people
such
go
a-
into these
such a
projects
strain.
and they think that, you know, I mean, obviously we've gone through a lot. We're still together, thank God. But you know, if that had been different, then you know, it could have changed the whole of our lives. Us thinking that we're going to buy this house, we're going to flip it, and we're going to make money. To we've got halfway
adds an
through,
element
we
of
can't
stress,
afford
doesn't
it, and yeah, there's extra stress there. So you know, like you said, Nicole, it's you've got to have a really good, solid relationship, but also you've got to know what's potentially ahead of you because it's hard graft.
And you've got to see
you know.
that end picture. You will get through it.
Yes.
You know, it is going to be tough. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
You've got to see that end picture.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to episode 2 of Lip Talk, and thank you to Meg for sharing your renovation stories, our renovation queen. And if you'd like to subscribe, please do so, and you'll see the details in the show notes.